Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 long-lasting fragrances, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Right, so for this list, I've taken 10 fragrances that are very long-lasting. I have two honorable mentions, which I'm going to talk about first. One of them is a great cheap fragrance, and that's Insurrection 2 Wild. And this one is essentially a take or a clone or inspiration of Pure Havane. It is similar. It's definitely a similar DNA, but this one is not exactly a perfect clone. So if you want a really cheap alternative, this is nice, but it's also not 100%. It has more cherry to me and much less of that honey, but it is a nice rendition, has a nice pipe tobacco cherry, tiny hint of that honey, so it's not as rich, of course, and luxurious as something like Naxos, and it's, again, not identical to Pure Havane. It does kind of do its own thing, but the fact that they were aiming for that is quite obvious. Now, it is a good fragrance. I think you can get it for about 20 bucks, maybe even less. I'm not entirely sure, but discounters have this one for a good price, and it lasts about 8 hours on my skin. I also get pretty good projection with this one. So going into fall winter, this is a great fragrance, one that I'm going to be picking up for sure, and one that I think does very, very well. Now the next one is actually a fresh fragrance. Now this one doesn't last super long, as some of the fragrances on this list, but especially for a fresh fragrance, it lasts a very long time, and that is Parfums de Marly Galloway. And I do get 8+ hours with this one, and to me that's actually very, very good considering this is a very fresh fragrance. It's citrus, it's musk, and you know, it smells fresh, it smells clean, it has a bit of pepper in it, but the fact that it stays so strong for so long is really fantastic for a fresh fragrance. I think this one is definitely underrated from the house, and it might even be my favorite freshie PDM, and it's definitely one of my favorite freshies. So I'm glad I have this one, and it can be gotten on discounters or on the gray market for a very, very good price. So 8+ hours, even in the heat, fantastic choice, I think. So I'm going to jump right into the list. I have now 10 fragrances, and let's get into them. They're really in no particular order. I did try to choose mostly stuff that I have bottles of, and the first one is actually Cajun Musk. Now this only comes in this small vial because it is pure oil. It's very, very thick, and this one is actually a really gorgeous fragrance from Genre Parfums, and it's a really nice original. Now it has this really nice, robust, realistic strawberry note in this opening, which actually lasts a very long time. So the strawberry note, very prominent and lasts for a very long time, and then it dries down a little bit differently. I do want to test it out a little bit more, do a full review on this one, because the strawberry is not, it is the center stage of the opening, but it isn't the whole show. But this one, easily 12 hours on my skin. It is a pure oil, so even this 3 milliliter, I believe it's 3 milliliters, is going to last forever. Might be a little bit more actually, but it's going to last a very long time. So Genre Parfums, Cajun Musk, very long lasting, very fantastic original fragrance from the house. Next, I'm going to go into Musk Oud by Kilian. And this is a sort of, it is a rose oud fragrance, but to me it's actually musky, a little bit of undertones of rose and a little bit of undertones of oud. But it is primarily a very luxurious, very rich smelling musk fragrance. To me, this is a really good special occasion fragrance. I mean, you can wear it whenever you want, but it is something that would definitely fit in very perfectly with a formal event. It just smells very luxurious, very classy. Now, lasting power, I definitely get 10+ hours on this one, easily. I mean, it does have oud in it, so you might expect that, but I don't actually get tons of oud with this one. It's much more of a musky fragrance, and like I said, has this beautiful, very subtle rose in the opening, so it's not a prominent rose oud combo. It is a subtle rose that adds a little bit of sweetness, and a very heavy musk that lasts for a long time, and it is quite luxurious. So this is a good fragrance, definitely an underrated one from the house, and if you get the chance, I would say get a sample of it. Next on the list is one that I have yet to do a full review of, but I am going to be talking about this one definitely this fall winter season, because I think it is a good one, and this is a Roja Parfums Fetish. Now, I have the Eau de Parfum. I did decide to get this one before it became discontinued, but at least to my understanding, this is very similar in scent profile to the Parfum. So if you do end up liking this one and retry it or whatever, the Parfum is still available, and it's probably, I'm just estimating here, a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. This one is such a beast mode fragrance. Not only is it long lasting, so 12 hours. It's a room filler. It is a projection monster. Very luxurious. This smells opulent. It smells rich. To me, in a lot of ways, this is what Roja stands for as a fragrance house. Just these very opulent, rich, luxurious smelling fragrances. And this one is done really well. It's spicy. It's a little bit animalic. And honestly, this is one of the most sensual, seductive openings. It has that very spicy, animalic component to it that gives it a very sexual edge, and I do really enjoy that a lot with this one. So, Roja Parfums Fetish, long-lasting and very good. So, I would recommend trying this one out if you are looking for that kind of masculine, little bit more traditional fragrance for a man. Now, the next one is actually going to be another freshie. I do have a lot of PDMs on here, but I think especially for freshies, to make it on this list, I had to put a few on here because there are a few that are really stellar in performance. And the next one I want to put on this list because I'm really, really happy with what they did with it. So they released this originally and the performance was horrible on Sedley 2019. And this is the main reason I didn't buy it. I did like the profile. It has a nice fizzy kind of a pop to it. And it does have this very beautiful opening, dries down into a nice woody base. And people complained about the performance, and I was actually quite happy that they listened. So that it's always nice when, you know, the customer gets listened to. It's good business, but it also is nice to see companies doing that. And they did bring this one back in 2020 with better performance. And for me, they totally nailed the better performance. So I get in that 8 to 10 hour range, and again for a fresh fragrance, that's very, very good. Sillage is very impressive. It's very much a projection beast mode fragrance. I go 2 sprays with this one because more than that, unless I'm going to be outside and somebody is going to be dying, because I get whiffs myself. You know, you don't smell fragrances as strongly when you wear them, and I'll get constant sillage with this one with just 2 sprays. So more than that, I personally don't go. Depends on how your skin chemistry works, I guess. But I'm very happy a fresh fragrance that lasts that long. And, you know, it's hard for me to think of anything that smells quite like this. I know somebody said like Boss Bottled Infinity or whatever, and I have smelled that, and it does not smell like this. So this is one of their more original fragrances in my opinion. And it is one that I do enjoy, a good, long-lasting, fresh fragrance. We're, of course, out of that season, although I think, depending on the day, it would be easy to wear in the fall still, if it's a little bit warmer. But it is nice to see a long-lasting, fresh fragrance. Next one on the list is one of my favorites, and this one is pretty hard to get. I was lucky to get it. This is my second bottle of it. Was lucky to get it when they had it online, and that is none other than Xerjoff Italica. Now, this to me is a creamy almond biscuit. That's kind of the easiest or quickest way for me to describe this fragrance. It's very, very creamy. The creaminess is very sensual. It is really one of the ultimate gourmand fragrances, maybe even the best gourmand fragrance of all time. It is really worth sampling if you like gourmands. And you can often at least find a decant to try it out. And then, of course, if you get a chance to buy a bottle, it's definitely, in my opinion, worth it. But as always, sample before you try it. But it has such good performance, longevity, 12 hours easily. And this is one that for me, it's not a room filler, but it's a sillage beast. So you have a nice bubble around you that's very thick and it leaves a trail. So it's not one that is going to fill a room just from standing there. But it's one of these things that as you move around, people will smell it. As they get into your zone, they will smell it for sure. Very thick, very sensual, very creamy, almondy kind of a vibe. And it does remind me a little bit of a biscuit at times. So I do really enjoy that one. I love gourmands. They are my favorite category probably. And that one is a great one. The next one I am actually going to talk about is also a gourmand. Now, some people kind of criticize this because it smells like other fragrances. And I still love this one, even though it gets compared to, for example, to Amber Narguil by Hermes. And that's Reyane by Parfums de Marly. This is probably my favorite still from the house. This one, again, it's pushing 12 hours, and it is a beast mode fragrance. I probably, depending, I would wear it in colder weather. I might go 3 sprays with this one personally. This one is, on the other hand, a bit of a room filler. This one can be huge on the projection, but this one to me is very rich honey cinnamon. And it feels very luxurious. You know, the bottle's very luxurious, but the fragrance also feels very luxurious wearing it. Now, some people say it smells a little bit like apple pie, and it does have osmanthus in it, which can give off a sort of fruity impression, which I get a little bit of that when I smell the nozzle. But ultimately, especially wearing it, what I get most of off my skin is a huge dose of cinnamon and honey. Very luxurious. It does dry down deep in the dry down a little bit differently, kind of like a bit of a baked good cookie kind of a vibe. And it is a fantastic one of the best from the house, and one I would definitely recommend checking out if you are into those kinds of fragrances and you want to try out something from Parfums de Marly. Now the next one on the list is a little bit shorter lasting, but it is a designer, and I guess I don't have as high standards for long lasting in designers. I know there's some that last a long time. Dior Homme Parfum is legendary for its longevity. I haven't really tried it. I've sampled it a bit, but I also don't have a bottle of it. Not the hugest fan of even the old line of Dior Homme. I do like some of them, but I'm not a huge fan. I know some people love that one. Not a huge fan. But what fragrance is that? Spieebomb Extreme. And to be honest with you, I wore this the other day, and I was just so shocked because I hadn't worn it in a long time, just because it's been summer, and I was shocked at the amount of sillage. So in between that 8 to 12 or 8 to 10 hour mark, definitely got this one, and just the amount of sillage that I also got over time. I would think it would be gone, and then I'd get a whiff of it, you know, an hour later, or an hour after that, an hour after that, and I kept getting whiffs here and there for a very long time. And that was very surprising, pleasantly so, because this is, to me, a very good fragrance. It's spicy and sweet. To me, it opens up peppery with vanilla and dries down vanilla with pepper. So it kind of switches as it transitions into the dry down. There are times when I get a bit of a Coca-Cola vibe with this one, which I do really enjoy. It smells a little bit like Coca-Cola gummies. Something with the vanilla has to trigger that memory, I'm assuming, but very good fragrance. Of course, everybody knows this one, but it also has a lot of staying power. So I really think this one's great. Now, next one. Talked about this one recently in a comparison video. Had to include it because, you know, even smelling it again, I really like this one. And that is Fan Your Flames. This is a boozy coconut tobacco fragrance, and easily 12 hours for this one. And there's something about this tobacco. So to me, the tobacco is the most forward, with a nice subtle coconut sweetness and a little subtle booziness. But the tobacco is very forward in this one, and there's something about this tobacco that smells like embers. So if you can kind of picture like the tobacco in sort of the bottom of a pipe, and it's not all charcoal, but it's a little bit red. It's not burning, but the embers are there. Like, it gives off that impression, and that is just something to me about that is really appealing. I don't know how they've done it. It just makes me sort of get that kind of a vibe. It's not smoky at all, but it is a very long-lasting fragrance, and it is really quite lovely. So Fan Your Flames, also a good one for the fall winter. Very long-lasting. Not super boozy, but it does have some boozy qualities. So if you do like those boozy tobacco fragrances, this is a good one to check out. And, you know, most Nishane fragrances are atomic, and this one is no exception to that. So 2 more. I'm actually going to go into one I picked up, I think it was last year. And I was very surprised by this fragrance, how long it lasts, and that is Absolutio by Navitus. So I will say, actually, I did pick up, and I'm doing a split, or I've done a split on one of the new big beard business fragrances. Excited to try that one out, see what it smells like, see how it performs. I did get number 1, but this is from the original launch of Navitus. This one sometimes gets compared to Baccarat Rouge 540, and it does kind of give me that impression, although I did try this side by side with Baccarat Rouge 540. To me, it did not smell the same. I get far less of that. So for me, Baccarat Rouge 540 smells like a dentist's office or latex gloves, and I get far less of that. I think it's because there's a lot of saffron in this fragrance. So this is a very heavy saffron fragrance. and it actually gives off a little bit of that impression. There is cherry in it, a bit of caramel toffee, which I also get. And I will say I don't get tons of the gourmand elements throughout the life of this fragrance. I mostly get a lot of the saffron, the driftwood. Those are the two most dominant players, but this one, very long lasting, atomic performer, 12 hours easily on this one. Great performer, and it is actually a nice release. Do like this one. I think I might wear this one next cool day we have. It's actually quite well done. And what I found surprising is some of the times I wear this one, like, even like 8 hours later, if I get a whiff, sometimes I can still pick up that cherry. And to be honest with you, that's something that usually only lasts in a top note, so it's very impressive that it does manage to last a little bit longer. The only real complaint, like I said, if I was going to make a complaint, I do wish the gourmand elements were a little bit stronger. But a nice rendition. I am looking forward to trying the Big Beard Business fragrance as well. Sounds very good. Number 1, I believe that's the tobacco one. So excited about that. Now we are on the last one. This is a timeless classic, or maybe not timeless yet, but it is certainly a classic. It is a well-beloved fragrance, and I'm fortunate enough to have it in the original bottle, which I do like a little bit more, and there's Black Phantom. Now, original bottle, the big difference is that this plaque is gunmetal. I believe it's now gold, and I do like the gold plaques, so it's gold kind of like this one. Like I said, I do like the gold plaques, but there's something about Black Phantom that I like the gunmetal the most. So the gunmetal, very happy to have it. Have the coffer as well, so it's definitely good to have in my collection. And this is another gourmand lover's dream. Chocolate, caramel. I get a lot of the caramel. There's a bit of that coffee, a little bit of bitterness from the almonds, especially in the opening. I don't get a lot of rum. There is rum in this. I don't really get a lot of it. It also has, I believe it has, what else does it have? Sugar. That's what it has. So this has a little bit of sugar in it, which I do pick up as well. But this is a very sensual gourmandy fragrance that has a very nice caramel touch to it. Very well done. This one was hyped up originally by Big Beard Business, and honestly, I was not expecting it to live up to that hype, but for me, it absolutely did. This was a love at first sniff. Happy to have it in my collection, and it is still one of those ones that is a masterpiece. It is an impressive fragrance, and if you like gourmand fragrances, then you should try it. I know some people don't like it, but if you don't like gourmands, especially heavy ones, you're definitely not going to like this. But longevity, easily 10 hours, probably pushing closer to the 12-hour mark. Great fragrance, good value with the the longevity, the performance, and also the smell quality. So those are now 12 fragrances that are very long lasting from my collection. That I do enjoy quite a bit. Happy to have them in the collection. And let me know in a comment down below, what are some of your longest lasting fragrances? Are there any suggestions you have for me? And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.